Welcome back to Taking Action. Chris Colombo, Anthony Conover. Anthony, if you don't know him, is our media guy, and he's an expert on statistics, and he's probably one of your biggest fans of sports. Just remember, when you see us, hit a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and don't forget to give me a comment. I do read the comments. I don't watch the show. Okay, Anthony, what did you think about week 2 in the NFL?
A lot of ups and downs, some injuries that, obviously nobody can predict those that obviously affected some of the games.
The majority of injuries happen in the first 3 weeks. Why I don't like the handicap in the first 3 weeks, or no good handicapper will, is because of injuries. In preseason, they don't play full throttle. They may have a tune-up game here and there. They don't put their starters in. So if something's going to happen, it's going to happen then, and the rhythm doesn't get down until the 4th week in the season, inherently. My picks on the first week were good. I think I was 4 for 4, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Second week, let's talk about that for a minute. Okay. If I had to do it again, I would pick the same things because the reasons were correct. Okay. Patriot game, the way I handicap, I gave the edge to the defense. They had lost one cornerback coming in.
Yep.
We couldn't help that. The second one going out, they weren't that deep. That was the reason for that problem. Plus, I don't think Bill Belichick is getting along too well with his coaches this week.
Yeah, there's probably some screaming going on in that meeting.
Well, let me explain to you why. Just like a team isn't in rhythm, you have an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator, they have assistants, they have trainers. If they're not working in unison, and that's part of the things they put out. The one touchdown where the guy ran straight back was a wrong defensive call. That is a prevent defense when you're up a ton. They were probably nervous because they lost their cornerbacks, left their people back, and they felt they were up a few at that point and they could coast. Not the case. Also, I saw something that the Rams kicked the field goal with 1 point to tie the spread. You could tell me the cows come home. You did that for extra points at the end of the year. At the second week of the season, you're not interested in that. So this is one of the things that are going to see if we going to affect us from handicapping. It's not a bad thing. We just know that the Rams want to lose by not as much as they're betting or win by as much. Now, I don't know whether the league sanctions it or whatever. He could tell anybody that story. I've been around too long. Okay. The game that concerned me the most was the Browns game. Losing their running back wasn't good.
Big blow to the offense.
Big blow to the whole scheme of the game. You got to remember, the offense dictates how long the defense is on the field.
Absolutely.
Well, if the offense is in there and your running game runs down the clock, not your passing game. So if your defense is on the field too long, your defense is going to be affected by it. Got my point?
Absolutely.
You look at it one-dimensionally, I look at it six-dimensionally. Okay. Starting out, if you gave me those choices to bet again, nobody could predict an injury. That running back, I think, is one of the finest in the league.
Absolutely.
I think he controls the middle of the field. I think he punishes the offensive line the way he runs. It was a big blow to the game. So my opinion is that I cannot, and nobody can predict the injuries, but they are preeminent in the first 3 weeks of football.
And just how important he is, he actually averages the 3rd highest yards per carry in NFL history. He is 3rd on that list. So he averages about 6 yards per carry in the 4th quarter. So he wears everybody down.
I don't care if it's him or any other running back. He was a statistic in my handicapping. And that statistic, time used off the clock.
Yep.
Getting into the secondary, bringing the linebackers up, which allows you to be able to make a pass. They got to draw back. If you have a running game, that's why the running game dictates the passing game and vice versa. Like you'll see them throw a pass 60 yards and it's 10 yards ahead of you. That's to pull the defense back off them to set up their running game. So I look at football a little differently because I've coached 31 years. And I've taken all of Vince Lombardi's clinics. And I think he was the best coach that ever stepped on the field. Him and George Hallis. Got to put Don Shula in there. Got to put Tom Landry. Got to put Chuck Noll. And Bill Belichick is definitely there. Let's go over this week. But I will tell you, I did bet the Minnesota Vikings with the Eagles. And I said it. And that's a game that was 7. I thought it was too high. I said they were going to win, but not by 7. As a bookmaker, I would have put it out at 6.5. Everybody would have laid that 6.5 for me till the cows came home. And there was no shot of getting middle decided there. Well, and I had the hook.
Yes, you did.
I had the hook.
All right, let's get into week 3 then. So the Giants at the 49ers, it opened up at a 9.5-point spread. It's gone to 10 now, with the Giants being underdogs.
Let me explain something when they say it's open up or gone. Okay, as a bookmaker, the only power you have is to move your line. You can decide where people are going to go or push them off the game or send them to take or lay a bad line. That's what I want them to do. People gamble with that line to the bookmakers. I do not. And hook is important. If you see a 7, you see a 6.5, and that's supposed to dictate the money line, which a lot of people like to lay a take, but they're not really being fair about it. There's a service called Don Best. Don Best provides, when you're on the computer, if you used to bet with illegal bookmakers on the computer, it was his service. They just rented it to you and rented it from them or bought the rights to it or whatever. But inherently, even before it was computers, there used to be a booklet that gave the numbers. So when we got the lines from each other on a Saturday, you would just go down and say 3 is 17, 5 is 2, and wherever the number was the favorite, down 35 teams. That was Jim Feist. Somewhere in the early 90s, it switched to Don Best. I knew because I asked, did you pick up the new booklets? They got Jim Feist. They went through the lines. I had a Saturday where you had like Duquesne, 38 points over somebody. But there was a rule in my business. If the line was out more than 5 points and my guys made a mistake, it was a no bet. If you could smarten my guys into making a silly mistake, 5 points, I lived with it. But we knew we would never be a line out 5 points because you rarely move a football game 5 points unless there's an injury. Okay, Don Best will give you all the lines where the bookmakers are at, the islands. It'll give you all the lines where Vegas is at, and he will show you the smart money in which way it's going and as it's moving. And then there will be an opening line, a present line, and at the end, what it closed at. So you'll have an idea where the volume of money is you can track. You'll have an idea where the smart money is. There isn't a bookmaker or a smart gambler in the world that doesn't subscribe to Don Best. Do I always agree with Don Best? No, but consistently, he sets the standard. It's his software, and he corrects the work for I believe, even the legal bookmakers, all the island bookmakers, and most of Vegas. So he's like a hidden secret in the industry. Bettors don't want you to know about it because it's a bookmaker's secret. Don Best Sports. Okay, and I believe you get his lines of those openings for free. A bookmaker would want them because it's real time. It's a $500 package a month and a $300 package a month. And then he provides you with the sportswear to be a bookmaker, and he gives picks too. But I'm not comfortable with his picks because I could just set the lines, move the lines, provide the things. So, but as a whole, if you're going to handicap sports, it's free. It's not real time when he's doing it, but it'll give you a good idea. And once you do start making money as a player, it's the way to go. Okay.
And all these lines are from Don Best, the opening and
I don't do it any other way. And part of the reason week 2 is you left my Don Best stuff out.
I did.
And that was a problem. Okay. All right. Giants opened up at 9.5. 49ers. When I say 49ers, the line next to it at 44.5. We're going to get into totals later on in the season. It's too early and it's more complex. Okay. 49ers are 10-point favorite, which means the money is on the 49ers, which naturally. You could talk what you want about that game. 49ers are a solid club. They're worth every point of the 10 points, but I don't lay 10 points. Unless it's a playoff game and they can't afford to have a team have 2 miracle touchdowns or miracle teams, because it can happen in 30 seconds. Or a division game.
Yeah.
So
staying away from this game. I mean, even though the Giants, Saquon Barkley's out, their running back, their left tackle's out in this game, and one of their linebackers is out. But like you said, 10 points is a lot. It's the NFL. Anything can happen.
No, people will coast. You could be up by 21, and then the next thing you know,
the Vikings score that last minute touchdown.
Yes, that was a give-me touchdown. I counted on it.
Chargers opened 2.5-point favorite. It is now turned into a pick'em against the Vikings.
Vikings are tough at home.
I don't like the game at all. Chargers always lose games they should lose or they should win. Vikings always up in the air. Yeah.
I'm going with the Chargers.
Okay.
And I'll explain why to you next week.
Oh, I'm
that. Not betting the game. If you have to.
Twist the arm again.
Right. Chargers.
Saints at Packers. Saints started out as a 3-point underdog. And
Packers were -3 and went to 2.
Yes.
Okay. So that means that people are betting the Saints. I don't like the game. Packers are tough at home. Too early in the season. Go ahead.
Texans at Jaguars. Jaguars are a 7.5-point favorite. Line moved up to 9.5.
Okay, I bet the game at 7. 9.5, it's a different game, but that was my pick of the week at 7.
Yes, it was.
Now it's 7.5, it's a different game. At 8, it's a different game. You're talking about 2.5 points. Doesn't take a genius to say that the smart money and the volume of money is on the Jaguars. Because it's not just money volume that moves it with Tom Best. He's saying the smart money. That's a solid 2 points. That's a move. I like the Jaguars. I bet the Jaguars. I can't bet at 9.5. I don't know if I'd have laid it. It took everything in me for the 7.5. 7, excuse me.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. We move on. The Broncos at the Dolphins. Dolphins opened up as a 6-point favorite. It's now 6.5. People thinking the Dolphins are the best team in football right now, some of them. So
I don't care what people think. You people are going to bet and you want to win. Go to the bank at the end of the month when your car payment's due and tell them what people think.
Not getting much.
All right. Broncos, I liked last week, and they were doing their thing.
They certainly were. Up 18.
Up 18, the game went, but then there was that hit unnecessarily in the end zone. I don't understand that hit, because if you catch the ball and you hit the guy, you already caught it, pops out, it's still a touchdown. At that point, players in the NFL become more than aware. The game has evolved where headhunting and hits, I mean, you come over the middle, you know you're going to get punished, but a helmet to helmet and a defenseless hit in the end zone is inexcusable behavior. And I think even the defense backed up at that point because they didn't want to pay aggressively. I texted you and I says, shut the game off. We've lost this one. This defense is not coming out to hit hard anymore. They didn't agree with their teammate, and they want to show the nation they didn't. And it took the spunk right out of them. And it put the spunk into the.
I was going to say, you texted me and said it woke the other team right up, and
well, it should.
And they obviously went on to end up actually winning the game.
Yes.
So,
because motivation is a very big part of the game. That's why you'll see when you slow the game down with a challenge, and the challenge doesn't go the right way, the whole momentum sways.
Absolutely. Titans at the Browns. The Browns opened up as a 4.5-point favorite. It's down to 3.
Any injuries for the Browns?
Well, Nick Chubb is out for the season with that knee injury, and I believe that is it.
He's a very important part of that offense.
Actually, they lost an offensive lineman the first week of the season as well.
Yeah, but Nick Chubb makes a difference. I don't think they have a running back that could support their offensive scheme.
They just went out and they signed Kareem Hunt, who was with them last season, been there a few years, but he was a free agent. I don't think he'll be ready conditioning-wise. So,
thank you for that, Andy.
Hey, got to let the people know what everybody.
It's very hard to hand your ball. I don't know what their offensive scheme is this year. The point of the matter, it's not tested. If it ain't tested, how do you know? Flip a coin. I still would take the points, but I would stay away from that game.
The Bills at the Commanders. The Bills were a 5.5-point favorite.
I warned you about 5.5-point games.
You did.
And where did it go?
It went to 6.5. So the Bills are now a 6.5-point favorite visiting the Commanders.
They went to 6.5 because they don't want to get middle-sided. I got to tell you, here and now, the Commanders have showed me a lot.
Yes.
When they're rallied to come together or they spark, the Bills by far are a high-powered offense. Allen does not know how to step out of bounds. He does not know how to throw a ball away. Their defense showed me a lot, but not everything. That's my arm. I would have to go with the Commanders.
Yeah, I like the Commanders in this one as well.
I'm finished now.
Oh, no. I think we'll be fine. Like you said, home team underdog. They have
preeminently in the playoffs.
Yes, they have.
That's why everybody wants to play well for what?
Home field advantage.
Right.
Yeah, look at that. I believe they have the sixth.
And it could be a good excuse to kick a field goal with 1 second.
Yeah, apparently.
Right.
Point differential, very important.
Very important.
Yeah,
it's like number 73 on a list of 74.
Yeah, but very important.
Very important.
Commanders, I believe, have the 5th best offense in the league so far. They got a new offensive coordinator this year. One of their defensive ends who was out all of last year is back this year. So I like that game as well.
I think they're coming to play.
I would agree with that.
I think that shot that guy took in the end zone, they felt pushed around. I think they're a young team. I think they had some transitional problem by changing their name. We got to remember.
New owner this year, too.
What?
New owner this year, too.
Yes, that's important, too. But also changing your name. Also, when you're flying under the flag of a certain name, and I don't want to get into the politics of whether it's right or wrong, but changing your name could affect you. That's why the Utah Jazz started out in New Orleans. They kept the name Jazz. That's why the Lakers started out in Minnesota, Kevin. But they're a Wisconsin team. There are no lakes in L.A., but that area is indigenous to the 7 Great Lakes and many smaller ones that feed them. So I think with a new team, new name is coming, a new thing. They certainly took their hits. They played with no name. It's just the Washington team.
Football team.
So I think they're becoming to get a sense of themselves. Twist it.
I'm twisting.
I don't bet all these games. I like the Commanders, but I'm not betting them. Go ahead.
Colts at the Ravens. The Ravens opened up as an 8.5-point favorites and is now down to 8.
8's a lot of points. It's more than a touchdown. I just don't like the game.
Yeah, the Colts quarterback is still in concussion protocol. Don't know if he's actually going to play, so it might be their backup this week. But as you say, 8 is a lot of points.
Right.
Patriots at the Jets. It started out as a pick'em, actually, and now the Patriots are 2.5-point favorites on the road.
Well, that's a great defense, and I hail that team. They have no confidence in their quarterback, right or wrong. They have no confidence. He did do enough for them to win, but he was not even, like I said, Mr. Rogers, Aaron Rodgers, Buck Rogers wasn't a component. Him being there is a component, and they don't play for him.
Patriots have also won, believe it or not, 14 straight games against the Jets.
Yes, but not very good against the spread.
No.
Not good at all. Normally, I would take the Jets. When I say take is the points, they played them in their glory years, but every game except one was decided and go back further than the 14 by 3 points or less. So the fact that it's 2.5, I stay away from that game. Every meeting in that division, except for one game in the last umpteen years, only one was decided by more than 3.
Always a lot of close games.
And I got to tell you right now, I don't think the Jets are going to win that game by 3. If they do, I hope they do. I hail that defense. I hail that special teams. That is a solid team just looking for a leader. And they got dealt a bad hand. You don't have to twist my arm. If I had to go somewhere in that game, I like the Patriots.
Okay.
I'm not betting the game, but I'm not going to tell you to stay away from it. If you like that game in your heart, you have reasons, so be it. Go ahead.
Bears at the Chiefs. Line open up at 11.5. It is now 12.5.
Bears have always had a punishing monsters in the midway.
Well, a lot of turmoil in their defense right now. The defensive coordinator just resigned. Apparently got raided by the FBI.
That happened to me. I kept bookmaking. Didn't affect me in line moving. Forget about it. And they come hard. Helicopters, machine guns, that nice stuff. Battering rams.
To your wonderful doors, they did that.
Did you see that? That's why I leave the key in the door now. I'm kidding? Those door books are expensive. It's not nice they do those doors. They're hand carved. With old Italian Georgie Bellina, may rest in peace. It's handmade doors. Not nice. I leave the keys in the door. I leave them open. Don't knock them. I just come on in. So anyway, what do you think I got in here? A bet. So it's a lot of points. Chiefs have a full-blown offense. When they're in motion, they stay in motion. But Mahomes is learning to control the clock better, step out of bounds, and throw the ball away. Those are the things that Tom Brady does. He evaluates a bad defense, and when he has to turn it on, there's nobody better than him, but he's not risking himself like Allen does every time.
Absolutely.
12.5 points. That's a touchdown, a field goal, an extra point, and a safety. I don't even know how to figure it out.
It's a lot of points.
A lot of
points. Cowboys at the Cardinals. The Cowboys are still opened up as 10.5 points favorites. It's all the way up to 12 now.
They're telling you. I mean, you look at the line, it's going up to 12. I mean, wise guys don't like that kind of money. Smart players don't like that kind of money. I mean, I always like the Cardinals against the spread. I'm not a big Cowboy fan as betting since that Clint Longfellow. I forget last week's games. Remember the lesson, forget the experience. Sports bettors hold on to what happened. Every week is a different week. Every half point's a different game. Don't need anybody to tell you who's the better team there.
Absolutely.
But are they the better team this week?
And by 12 points.
That's the big thing. That's up to you, the gambler. I'm not going to influence you because I don't want anybody to say, Chris, I was going to lay those 12. What the hell does he know? He just knows enough that more things can happen at 12 points than they can just to win the game. Go ahead.
Sunday Night Football. The Steelers at the Raiders. It opened as a pick'em, and now the Raiders are 2.5 point favorites.
I would have liked Raiders to pick them. I like Raiders now. I like Raiders tomorrow. I like Raiders.
All right.
Would I bet them from pick 'em to 2.5? That's wise guy money. They were all over that game of pick 'em. The idea, if you have Dylan Best and you like him, is to bet it as soon as the move. That's one of the reasons I have Dylan Best. I wish I could broadcast to you live as the moves. I mean, some of them, as I agree. I don't agree on everything. The wise guys are not always right, but they're going to get the best of it, but they do make mistakes. Go ahead.
Another thing you hate, Chris, there's 2 Monday Night Football games again this week.
Vengeance with a passion.
The Eagles,
it screws up the rotation. It screws up more teams traveling. It screws up everything. I mean, can't they think about the handicapper over here?
And they're playing them at the same time. How am I supposed to know which one to watch? Eagles are at
That was a ridiculous statement.
It's true.
Put up 2 TVs.
Can you buy me another one?
I knew that was coming. What's your friend? Since you got your fettuccine Alfredo today, I pay him in food. So you got your fettuccine Alfredo today. I haven't produced them. Well, go ahead.
Eagles at the Bucks opened as the Eagles with a 7 point favorite. It is now down to 5.
Go Philadelphia.
I agree. I like this game a lot. With the
I'm
Eagles.
screwed again.
Unbelievable.
And I did not bet it, but I like that side. Go ahead.
And finally, the Rams at the Bengals. Bengals actually opened up.
Eagles, that guideline goes down from 7 to 5. I got to tell you, when that move happens, the wise guys are saying the Bucks is the smarter game. I like the Eagles.
Okay.
Bucks are at home, but what's a powerful team, the Eagles? And I'm going to say why they're powerful. They're balanced.
Absolutely.
And they know how to play under pressure.
I would agree. Last game of the week, Rams at the Bengals. Bengals opened up as a 7.5 point favorite. It's all the way down to them as a 2 point favorite, mainly because nobody's sure if Joe Burrow is playing yet.
The quarterback's iffy.
Calf injury, re-aggravated it in the game Sunday.
Burrows plays hard. Believes in what he's doing. I know there's people who don't like him. Maturity will come with the job. He's not taking himself out of games. He's trying to rehab it the best he can. I give him credit. Calf injuries are tough.
Got to be mobile a little bit these days, and obviously
I'm always using my calves to reach for things.
That's the last one of the week. So obviously we hope that everybody has success in week 3.
Every week is a learning experience. Forget the experience, remember the lesson. I don't even remember last week's games. I make notes as I'm watching.
Yep.
And then what I'm doing to each week, I tell Anthony that. I clear my mind. I don't go in with emotion. I go in. I told you who I bet. I told you who my picks are. The first 3 weeks of football, inherently, I don't bet because I am giving it to you. I feel an obligation to put my money up with you. So it would have been a pretty boring show if I would have told you the first 3 weeks of football not to bet. But I was a bookmaker, so I saw it was in the player's advantage or disadvantage. It was a straight out. But if you're going to lay 10, 11 points, the first 3 weeks is to do that. And then my philosophies will kick in when you're going to see blowouts. This is Chris Colombo, Anthony Conover. Thank you for joining us. This is Taking Action. This is Chris Colombo. Respectfully, we're in the home of Joe Colombo. Don't forget, any criticisms, any comments, any questions, I will answer. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. We're with you. It's about you, the better, the youth, and we're going to get more advanced as time goes on. Thank you.